I was like, God, like, how can other people get into this that maybe can't go out and buy a property or rent one? Because trust me, I scream all over the world that you can do this without owning the property. That's our biggest spiel, actually. You can do this with no license and you don't have to own the property. If people had to ask us, like Derek and Otis, like, what is the main two things that kind of you tell people to make this make sense, right? You don't have to own the property, and I don't need a license either. Like, that's that other piece. A lot of people think they need a license to do this, right? But when we're housing people that are independent, that's what makes this all make sense. Because Otis is not trying to provide medication management. He's not buying an 18-passenger van to drive these people around to the doctor's appointments and all of that stuff. And we're surely not trying to cook for them because we don't have an industrial kitchen in that ILF, right? But again, I was like, God, how can we introduce this to people that still want to help? They still want to be involved, but renting or buying the property just may not be, now is not the right time, right? They're maybe not even financially set up to do that. And it just came just as clear as day. God was like, Derek, show them what the other companies do to you when they call you with the client. Don't they send you an invoice? I was like, wow, that's interesting. So I began to think of all the companies that, there are certain companies, and there's about 3 of them, and I play voicemails from their calls all the time here in this room. And they call us on a daily basis asking us for clients. And the first time, I'll admit, like, it kind of went over my head in terms of what it was. I signed all the paperwork and the agreements. But when they sent me that first client, we'll just call him Josh. When they sent me Josh and I did my own assessment, I was like, man, Josh is cool. I'll move him in. Boom. Josh came in, paid rent. Don't y'all know, man, them people sent me an invoice. And y'all, I'll admit, I was upset. I got kind of angry. I'm like, man, I'm Mr. Derek. I'm second chance housing. How you gonna send me an invoice? This is what I do. And that guy just as gently said, Mr. Derek, you don't remember that agreement that we made and that paperwork I sent you? He said, just read it. I don't want to argue with you. But Derek, it says that when you take a client from us, I'm going to send you an invoice and I want half of his rent the first month and I want half of his rent the second month. I was like, wow. And y'all, I'll admit, when I built that relationship with that guy, I didn't read the little contract thing. See how I'm being transparent? But in that contract told me, like, hey, Derek, if I send you a client and you move him in and he pay rent, you owe me half of his rent the first month and the second month. I was like, wow. And God brought all of that back to my memory. He said, Derek, why can't y'all do that and then you teach it to other people? I said, God, you are genius. I said, you just removed every excuse that people can't buy your property and that you can't rent one. If God has put on your heart that you should be housing people, this is just another way for you to be able to do it until you're able to buy that property or rent that property.